Top World News, July 11th, 2025, by AZLAN ADNAN. Trump tariffs shake global trade order. The European Union is bracing for a formal communication from U.S. President Donald Trump, who has announced sweeping new tariffs. A 35% levy on Canadian imports is set to take effect on August 1st, with similar 15 to 20% tariffs being considered for other major trading partners. These aggressive measures are expected to strain transatlantic trade relationships, disrupt global supply chains, and further unsettle already jittery markets. EU leaders are reportedly weighing retaliatory responses, while U.S. stock futures dropped nearly 0.5% following the announcement. UK-France migration pact nearing completion. Amid rising political pressure, the EU is finalizing a bilateral agreement between the United Kingdom and France aimed at controlling irregular migration across the English Channel. The deal is expected to include enhanced joint border patrols, expanded intelligence sharing, and resettlement mechanisms. However, human rights groups warn that these security-heavy measures risk further endangering refugees and migrants, while doing little to address the root causes of displacement in source regions such as the Sahel, Horn of Africa, and Middle East. Europe reckons with history. Srebrenica and Jedwabne. This week marks the 30th anniversary of the Srebrenica genocide in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where more than 8,000 Muslim men and boys were murdered in 1995 by Bosnian Serb forces. Commemorations and newly discovered mass graves continue to draw global attention to one of Europe's darkest post-World War II episodes. Survivors and families of victims are demanding accelerated justice and greater recognition. In Poland, meanwhile, authorities have pushed back against far-right attempts to rewrite the history of the 1941 Jedwabne pogrom, where hundreds of Jews were massacred by their Polish neighbors. Scholars warn that growing historical revisionism threatens both national conscience and international credibility. U.S. State Department layoffs and legal blow to Trump agenda. In Washington, the U.S. State Department has announced plans to lay off approximately 1,800 domestic employees, around 15% of its workforce, as part of a restructuring linked to President Trump's revived America First doctrine. The cuts have ignited bipartisan concern over the hollowing out of American diplomacy and diminished global engagement. Meanwhile, in a major legal setback for the administration, a federal judge has blocked an executive order that aimed to revoke birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to non-citizen parents. The ruling reaffirms the constitutional protections enshrined in the 14th Amendment. Humanitarian crisis deepens in Gaza. The humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate after a deadly airstrike near a clinic killed at least a dozen civilians, including children. The UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the occupied Palestinian territories has called for targeted international sanctions, citing repeated violations of international law. European Union officials are reportedly debating whether to impose coordinated penalties against Israel, even as vital humanitarian aid efforts remain underway. Medical teams on the ground report acute shortages of fuel, medical supplies, and potable water, exacerbated by an ongoing blockade and intermittent power outages. A fractured world in need of leadership. Taken together, today's developments underscore the deepening fracture lines in the international order, from rising authoritarianism and nationalist trade wars to the persistent denial of historical atrocities and the erosion of civil liberties. Whether in the corridors of Brussels, the refugee camps of Calais, the rubble of Gaza, or the courtrooms of Washington, the world appears to be in urgent need of principled leadership, institutional courage, and a renewed commitment to multilateral cooperation. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.